No. Let's try something else. Hit it, Joe.
Three idiots sharing memories with fans who watched the show. It's the best of both our worlds.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special edition of Best of Both Our Worlds, the official Unofficial Hannah Montana Podcast, the show where three idiots share our memories of Hannah Montana with the fans so they get a chance to see the other side of the best damn Disney show ever. And why is this a special episode? We, three idiots, are going to react to the Hannah Montana 20th Anniversary special.
Yes.
I am still Jason. You are still...
I'm still Shannon.
I'm still Doug.
Hey, here we are. Same, but different.
Yeah.
We didn't change bodies or anything.
So, yeah, we just want to quickly, just hit our reactions to the special. Two of us went to the premiere. We've all seen the special.
One of us had a job.
One of us had a job. And so, we just want to take a second to react to it. We're going to sort of follow our loose format where we talk about, what we did right, what we did wrong, and what we do different. And so that's sort of how we're going to approach the special.
Yeah.
And I think
It's good.
Just give you our thoughts because people are curious and we thought we'd let you know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we were not directly involved in any of the decision making for it. So this is just sort of as fans reacting to the special as well.
Yeah.
So first of all, what they did right. It's very clearly focused on celebrating Miley's journey from this
100%.
unknown preteen in Tennessee to star of Hannah Montana to distancing herself a little bit from the show, and then as a full-blown adult, sort of reintegrating Hannah into her life, and I think the show does an exceptional job of taking us on that journey and celebrating Miley's.
Right. Now, they clearly picked a target, right?
Yeah.
As a writer, sometimes you have to be very focused on your story, and that was the story they told. They did not tell the story of celebrating Hannah Montana, the show. They picked how celebrating Hannah Montana, the character, and how that character impacted Miley and the world. And they did an amazing job of telling that story.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Was that the story that I expected personally or I wanted personally? But that's neither here nor there. They did a great job for what they wanted to do. And I applaud the fact that they stayed in their lane, right? They stayed true to their course.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was beautiful. It was incredibly sentimental. Like, as the minute that Miley walked into that set, the living room set, the Malibu house, it was just flooded with memories of taping and rehearsals and how
They did a really good job of replicating that.
There were a couple of things missing.
there were definitely a couple of things
we'll point that out
missing.
a little
we'll
later.
point that out. We'll get there if you listen on.
I think for all of the bells and whistles of the special, I think the special itself really shines a light on how charming Miley is when she's just being Miley.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like her off-the-cuff comments, the self-deprecating jokes.
The Jeff from Facebook bit was hysterical.
It just
my
reminds
God,
you of
yeah.
how funny she is, how charming she is, and how easy it is to root for her as a professional, but also just as a person. Like, she's just so dang charming.
Right.
To me.
And
100% agree.
I don't know if the fans know that side of her enough. We worked with it. We know that's who she is. So seeing her up there, just sort of off the cuff, being funny, was really refreshing and charming. And I'm glad that they did that because I'm glad that people got to see her, that human side of her, and how she's just a naturally funny person.
Yeah, I think it's sort of how you knew where you stood with her. If she was sort of busting your balls and joking around with you, then it meant that she liked you. And I've mentioned on the podcast before, one of the things she used to call me all the time was if I was being a little salty about something, she would call me fat face.
Yes.
And there was just always sort of a playfulness to her that you just can't help but love.
Yeah.
And it really shines through in the...
Just as a side note, for when we were talking about the target of the special, a lot of people criticized the Chapel Rowan thing. And I just want to defend it for a minute, even though, there were things that I didn't like about the special, and we'll get to. The Chapel Roan thing was right on target. It was, right?
Was Selena showing up and Chapel showing up made a lot of sense because Selena, she was on the show, right? But also, Selena was the other queen of Disney Channel at the time.
Yep.
And so, like, there was a playful rivalry between both of our shows, but they were the faces of the channel. And so it was really cool to see them reconnect and acknowledge each other and have that moment. So Selena, to me, made perfect sense.
Selena makes it, and Chapel made sense too, because Selena represents the other Disney Channel star at that time. And then Chapel represents the audience, right? She had her experience just like the audience did with the character of Hannah Montana and how that changed her life.
Yeah, because she was just one of millions of kids at that time watching the show.
Well, I think it really highlights. I mean, again, name dropping. I've done this before, but like when I mentioned the first time I met Sabrina Carpenter, she had very clearly stated Hannah was a big influence on her wanting to be a performer, and I actually thought that Sabrina would be in the special, but it turns out, from what I could see online, that she wanted to, and they asked her, but they couldn't make the schedule work.
Right.
But I think Chapel's the exact same situation. Right. You really see the impact that Miley had on the next generation of up-and-coming singers, performers.
Right. Yeah.
Like, they really do credit her for paving the way. And so Chapel being there, actually makes a ton of sense when you're telling Miley's story.
Exactly.
Being Hannah and what her life and the way it impacted the fans. Cohesively makes sense.
It's funny, because as a writer, when you construct that, you go, it all fits. And a lot of the internet, I know a lot of the buzz was like, what is she doing there? But they didn't really grasp the story, right? Yeah. They didn't. Every episode of everything tells a story, and this told a story, and it told it beautifully.
Chapel Roan has been very, very clear about, I mean, not that Sabrina wasn't, but anything, if there were, before I even knew who Chapel Roan was, I had heard that what a huge impact Hannah Montana was on her. So it's and I love that she said that Miley was a lightning rod for the stuff that she had to
she
endure.
took a lot of heat for everything that all of these younger performers get to do and say, and the way they get to be and present themselves. Miley took a ton of flack for that.
And to see that acknowledged by somebody who's such a huge star too as Chapel Roan was really, really nice props.
But I think for me the highlight of the whole thing is just, sweet Jesus, can that girl sing?
Oh my
God. Every time she sings anything, you just sort of fall in love with her all over again. So seeing her dressed up as Hannah, revisiting the Hannah songs was really...
And that new song is a tearjerker. That new song is so good. The music was fantastic. And again, part of the story, right? All part of the story.
And I just want to say one thing about Hey You, because that's the song. If that was a song that she was going to be playing on the show, she would have made such fun of me, because anytime that there was a song that was slightly sentimental, I would sob a jerk, and then she would be like, Shannon, I know you're gonna cry at this song, you may want to leave. And so watching that and just I couldn't.
I have definitely gotten more sentimental as I've gotten older. When I worked on High School Musical, the series, and the kids would sing on that show, and every time I would just blubber. I'm they're so talented. And this was the same thing with Miley, just singing Younger
100%.
So good.
Just to wrap up the what they did right bit. The other guest that I think people on the internet were buzzing about, what are they doing there, was Gary Marsh, who was the president of the Disney Channel at the time. And I just like to say, from someone who bristles when network executives take credit for other people's work, this is an instance where I think he deserves more credit. Usually they're taking credit for stuff they don't do, but this is something he really did. I mean, Gary really spearheaded the whole idea. Before Hannah was Hannah, when he was just in the development process, it really was something that he pushed. And I love the fact that he was there. I love the fact that he was getting credit for it, because I think he deserves it. And I really think that if there was one person that I felt, in my opinion, was most responsible for Hannah being Hannah, it would be Steve Peterman. But Gary would be second. I like that he took credit and got credit for it.
I did love that they, reading the email or whatever. I think those were moments that I was hoping to see a bunch of sprinkled throughout. There wasn't as much as maybe as I thought there would be, but it was cool to see how much foresight was in there. It was cool.
It was
He's a smart man. Spend a lot of time on set with us when we shot the pilot, more than any other pilot I've done it.
I think they knew pretty early on that there was a chance that there was something special there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And they forced it to be something special. They say they beat that.
They were like, come hell or high water, this thing.
You're gonna.
Yeah. So usually we do what we did wrong. In this case, what did the special do wrong? Genuinely, I don't think the special did anything wrong. It was exactly what they intended it to be.
Right.
I feel like there was an interview online from one of the executive producers, the showrunner of the special, who said, they have a limited time, limited budget. They had a certain amount of real estate that they could use for the special. They felt the most impact they could have was to tell Miley's story, and they did. And they did it really, really well. So I can't, again, like you said, you can't fault them for picking a lane and sticking to it.
Right.
And Miley, she was Hannah Montana, for God's sake. She was the face of the show.
The titular character.
Right.
So.
The only thing I will say that I think they maybe did a little wrong was just give me more Miley singing. I literally, they could have done 10 more songs, 15 more songs. My soft pitch was, I don't know if you guys ever heard about the Hannah Montana movie premiere, like what happened at that?
No, I never did.
At the Hannah Montana movie premiere, and hopefully this isn't a situation where my brain is malfunctioning and this didn't really happen because of so. But I wish they would have dug up some archival footage of after the premiere, they rolled the credits, and then the screen at the El Capitan goes up, and she's standing behind it, full gown, orchestra, choir, and she sang The Climb live to everybody in the thing. And it was like, wow,
that would have got me.
There's been a handful of moments throughout the years where, like, I just look at this girl that I've known since she was 12 years old, and just like, oh my God, she's like a transcendent star. And her singing The Climb is like one of those moments where you're just like, she's supernatural. That's like a different. There's a different level of talent. There's something else going on there. So I would have loved maybe some more archival stuff like that. Could have been cool. But her singing, give me 10 more songs.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder how much more they actually captured. How much more did they shoot? And then, can you imagine having to how do you quantify that? How do you pick?
Right.
Yeah.
I had a couple of other things that, again, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I felt that the unscripted nature of it. Now, again, they picked a lane and they stuck to it.
Yeah.
The unscripted nature of the podcast interview with Alex, that was lovely, and seeing her just be off the cuff was great.
Yeah.
But it sort of spilled into other scenes where they're like in the closet, and there was a little bit of a meanderingness to it. Where as a writer, I'm going, ooh, just give them talking points or something, give them lines or something. But I mean, who's glass houses? That's what we do here. So
100%.
So, but for just the writer in me was like pitching stuff to have them talk about or have them say. There was a show on VH1. Called Behind the Music, and they used to do like Behind the Music, and they used to do sort of an offshoot of Behind the Music called Where Are They Now, and it was like musicians 10 or 15 or 20 years later. And when I said goodbye to everybody the last day of Hannah, I distinctly remember saying to everyone the same thing, which is, see you in 20 years when we do the Behind the Music special.
Yeah. Oh
and
my God.
I do remember you saying that.
Yeah, and
like legitimately saying that.
Yeah, and it was a joke back then because it was like, who's going to do Behind the Music on a kid show? But this, I thought, was going to be that.
Sure.
I thought it was.
I think a lot of people maybe misconstrued what the special was going to be.
But again, that's not their problem. No. That's mine. That's my expectations of it. Right. So my expectations of it were that it was going to be a big Hannah reunion, and it wasn't. However, on the other hand, the premiere for me, being able to go to the premiere with you, that was a little bit of the reunion I was missing, because I got to see Moises and we got to see some of the other cast and some people there, and that was really special. And without the 20th, special that they did, I wouldn't have been able to have that moment.
Right.
So that was great.
The only thing I thought that they did wrong is I missed that, because I knew that set so well.
Yeah.
The island in the middle.
I
was like, where's the island?
She goes, oh, it's exactly like it was, and I was like, nope. missing the island.
I was like, no, the island should be there with the things, because
they put the table there instead.
Right. No, I actually have a friend named Kathy who's a friend of mine who immediately texted me and said, "Where's the island?
Where's the island?" And the jukebox isn't
supposed to.
The jukebox is in the pilot, but when they shortened the
also came back but also came back season 4.
in the other house.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a different house.
So
yeah.
it's kind of a little to both of them.
But that's so nitpicky.
It's
like
so-
they
that's
did,
not-
they
Uber-
did a pretty
you're
amazing
an Uber
job.
fan.
Yeah.
You're
that's
obsessed.
like fan saying, yeah.
Well, I mean, it leaps out to me because I had so many like moments like at that island with Billy Ray,
Right.
like when they come in with
Right.
the sugar episode, and he wants to smell my breath because I'm all coked out on sugar, and we're making the you want some toast?
Yes,
I bet you do.
yes.
Like literally, like there's so many things that happened there that I was immediately like, no, I know that
Yeah.
island was there.
yeah. When you tried to trim his nose hair before.
But honestly, to be able to build that set 15 years later,
Oh
with
my
all-
God.
was
It was pretty flawless.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty
cool.
flawless.
Here's the problem. Anything we say is going to get clipped, and you're going to be like, oh, they shit all over them.
Yeah.
And that's not the intent. Love the special.
Oh.
Thrilled to go to the premiere.
If you haven't seen it,
Watch
go watch it.
It's great.
And bawled my eyes out.
Yeah.
So please, TMZ, don't clip this up and like make it seem like we're crapping on it. But as a fun exercise, I think talking about things that the special might have done differently, or like maybe even some of the things we were anticipating or thinking about when we first heard that there might be a special.
Right.
I know for me, it was promoted as the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special, reflective of her and the character, not so much the show. If it had been called the Hannah Montana 20th Anniversary Reunion Special, I could
That
see
would have been
people
very
being
different.
bent out of shape. But I think it could have been fun if it was a reunion special.
Yeah.
of
Do you know what
course.
I mean? Because, like you said, on the carpet at the premiere, seeing Anna Maria and Shanika and seeing Cody Lindley, and I didn't know that Moises was going to be there, and so when he snuck up behind me and surprised me, I don't think I hugged that dude for like 2 minutes. I just wouldn't let him go.
Yeah.
I was so excited that he was there. There's so many people that I love on that show, between guest cast and crew and all of that stuff, that it would have been that set was so big. It would have been really cool to see everybody sitting on the couch and in the chairs, and then do director chairs all around it, and have like Amber and Ashley and Cody and Jesse and then a revolving character or cast of characters of all the huge stars. Get The Rock to come out and say hey, you know what I mean? Get Brooke Shields to take some time out of her day, But like I think when you envision it, you're thinking like unlimited budget, unlimited time to shoot.
Yeah, of course.
No, you don't immediately start thinking about the restrictions. You just think about like, oh my God, what could this look like?
Right.
And I think some of those things would have been really, really fun.
Yes, but I will defend them for a minute.
Of course.
They picked a target, they told a story,
Yeah.
and this was their story. Now, did we want them to tell another story? Yes, but that's us again. That's our problem. And I will say this: there are other places, maybe possibly, that story can be told, that those reunions can happen. There may be a podcast that you could watch where we might talk to. I'm just saying.
You're so dumb.
Yeah.
You're so self-serving. Pitching the podcast to people that are listening
look,
to the podcast,
that-
oddly enough.
This is the story we're telling, right? We're just telling our. So we picked a lane and we're doing ours. They picked a lane, they're doing theirs.
We
right?
did do like, so we went to the premiere, and
Right.
then the next day we went over to Bill Sindelar, who was the audience warm up for our show. He hosted a gathering to do a rewatch or to do a watch.
because it was the first time.
Because it was the first time. And I will say that it was really like a beautiful thing to see so many people from so many different departments and parts of the show get together to watch this special. I don't know if it's like inappropriate to like shout people out, but I think just giving some credit and showing us. I would love if you'll let me indulge for a second.
Do it.
But at this thing, Shannon was working, so she couldn't be there, but she obviously would have been there. But we had our line producer Richard King, the showrunner Steve Peterman, you as a writer, Doug, you were there. Sally Lapidus was there as a writer. Andrew Green was there as a writer. A former Disney executive Jeff Brustrom was there. Casting director Howard Meltzer. Our wardrobe designer Dahlia. Our whole AD staff, Ron, Paul, Annie, and Tia. Our audience warm-up, Bill, again. Audience wranglers, Erica and Stephanie. Production coordinator, Matt Duvall. One of our stand-ins, Tori. I'm sure I'm missing somebody who was there. But, like, that is literally the widest net you can cast. And the fact that 15 years later, these people care enough about each other, stayed in enough contact with each other, and had that affinity for the show, willing to, like, hang out in Bill's backyard. Like, it really was a little bit of what I was hoping the whole experience would be, but it was really humbling and really wonderful to be a part of. It was really heartwarming.
And I'll take the other side of that coin for a second.
Yeah.
That's what I hoped that the the premiere would be.
Sure.
But and it was a very small number of us at the premiere.
Yeah.
I think I counted 12 people who had worked on the actual show of like 700 people there. But I will say this, after being at that premiere for 10 minutes, I realized we were the only people that worked on it and it was great, but all 682 people that I didn't know, they were all Hannah fans.
Yeah.
And they were some of the most famous, like biggest social influencers in the world. I was, fangirling over them and they were fangirling over us. They were like, oh my God.
Well, I mean, for me personally, like
Yeah.
I met Ray, who was one of the singers
Right.
in K-pop Demon Hunters, and I was like, my mind was blown because she's incredible and I'm a big fan. And then was it Libby that we met?
Abby.
Or Abby, sorry.
We met Abby.
And that was like, everybody was like losing their minds over.
From Love on the Spectrum.
Yeah. And you're right. There were so many people that were there for so many different
And Dara
reasons.
and everybody. And And it was really heartwarming in a different way. It was heartwarming in the sense that look at all the love we created.
Yeah.
Right? We made all these people, we brought all these people together and they're all Hannah fans. And that was a different kind of joy.
Yeah.
So they had their target and they brought a lot of joy with hitting their target.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there another target to hit? Yeah, but maybe there's someone out there who will be doing it here at the podcast.
I will say, like, one of my things that it would have been done if one thing that would have been different was, like, I loved that Miley and Billy Ray read that scene together at the kitchen table, and it was so fun to intercut that, like, that table read between the two of them and the actual scene. And I wish that I just wish there was a little more
I
of
saw
that.
that scene and I was like, oh, this is so sweet. But then I immediately thought about the pilot, the scene that we've talked about so many times. It was so influential in my life.
Yeah.
Where like Billy Ray and I do the potty training song and are making fun of my, like, I was like, ooh, that would have been really fun to do.
That would have been a really fun thing. But I was
You
also
can't do everything.
No,
I was also thrilled that because it was my episode.
Oh.
directed,
It was an Andrew Green, Maria Brown. It was a Green
Yes.
Brown written episode.
Joint.
So that
Joint.
being said, like again, if you start playing the game of like what could have been fun to see, I think it would have been great to have a few writers from the show who know the tone of the show to write some funny bits. My terrible pitches are, I think that it would have been funny if Rico and Jackson were trying to get into the special, and Roxy like a puma kept like kicking them out, just throwing us out. Like that would have been like a funny runner, and we never get to see Miley, but like because Roxy like a puma, or the other one that I even regret saying because it was we were so nervous about it at the time is like Rico and I doing the musical transitions in
my
the
God,
special.
that would have
If we
been
had
really
done like
funny.
a whole new batch of like the musical transitions.
Oh my God, that'd been brilliant.
I think that would have been super fun. We have 4 seasons worth of gag reels. Would have been fun to see some of the because when you really do stack up all of the different physical bits, all the different costumes, all the different wigs, all the different guest stars, and you see them like relentlessly back to back, you really do see the scope of the show that we made. It was
100%
insanity what we did over 101 episodes.
Right, and for those of you who don't know, a gag reel is like a blooper reel. That, a season's-
it's outtakes. It's like places we mess up, or sometimes it's just a supercut of like, holy shit, look at what we made these kids do for 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish that there had been a little more audience participation. Like, that there had been, because there were people there listening to her do that live, doing it live. It would have been cool if there had been some kind of asking questions of Miley. So, I mean, I guess, like, here we are. Like, please ask all of your questions because we'll answer them to the best of our ability. And that was not a segue.
You
It
guys are
really
the best.
do wish that, like, there had been some. I think people probably could have. And Alex definitely was the stand-in for that because I think that she,
As a fan.
as a big super fan. She
Right.
was like,
So, and again, that's the story. They stuck to it.
Right.
I applaud them.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and I did love that Billy Ray said, "Oh, Jason's probably out on the porch."
I kept expecting to see myself. And it didn't happen. No.
Can I be honest with you? I thought you were keeping that secret from me. I thought that's why you invited me to the premiere so that when you were in the special, you could look at me and go, ha. Like, I thought it was and then you weren't there.
Such a great bit, but no.
Would have been a good
That
bit.
was
Yeah.
a good bit.
And then the last thing I just want to say is that, like, seeing Miley have such a deep, deep appreciation for the show and for, like...
I thought you were going to say such a deep, deep voice.
No, well, that too. But, like, that she had such a deep appreciation for the show and that she's not embarrassed about it and she really, really, like, holds it in such high regard. And to celebrate that is a celebration for me.
Yeah, I think her reclaiming that part of her life,
Yes.
was, I think, a really special moment. Because I mean, sometimes I'm a little embarrassed at like how much I love the show. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like I've just sort of relentlessly just sung its praises for 20 years.
Yeah.
And I think that there is an element of, and I'm sure we'll see it in the comments, let it go, dude. Like it was a long time ago.
No.
And I think there's some validity in that criticism, but like sometimes I do get embarrassed with how much I love the show, and I never felt like I needed to like push it away.
Right.
And seeing the young woman that Miley's become and how she's taken control of her life and all of the things she's accomplished, and then to like take the 20% of her that was Hannah Montana and like reabsorb it and let that like live there, I think was really great for her. That has to be a little healing. And then I think it's great for the fans. I think that that probably was like a really gratifying thing to be like, look, we did a special thing, and like you'll always be a part of me, and this will always be a part of me.
And to bring it back full circle, you can't tell that story if you veer off the track.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And that's the story they wanted to tell, and it did hit home. And all the things we talked about, what we could have done different, would have been different stories. Yeah. And they chose a story, and I think they chose the right one, and they did it the right way.
And I just one last thing I want to say, I promise, is that when she came on Sesame Street recently, which, you know, that episode premiered
Did you win an
last
Emmy
month.
for that?
I've won 4 Emmys for
Sesame Street? Oh.
But she did come on Sesame Street, and the storyline was that it was a rummage sale. And so they had a table set up for Miley with a bunch of different things on it, and I asked for a wig. I asked for a blonde wig, if we could put that on the table, and they got it. But I was like, but listen, I'm going to ask her first, because I didn't want to be presumptuous and be like, hey, look, hi, you were Hannah Montana. So I was like, Miley, and I pulled her over to the table. I was like, I have this sparkly shoe for you, and I have this blonde wig. And she was like, I'm upset. I'm in, 100% in. And that's how the episode ends. And I was like, I didn't want to like say, hey, the only connection we have is this, but like that she did that and that embraced it was amazing.
I think that there's maybe a perception that like they would expect us to want to sort of shit on it, the special a little bit because it was so focused on her. But like the truth is, I have a tremendous amount of gratitude that it even happened.
Yeah.
She willed this thing into existence.
Yes. Thank you, Dolly.
And if you really do take into account like the time frame with which it happened and how difficult it is to put something like this together, the fact that it exists at all is a testament to her. And because of it, we had the opportunity to see a bunch of our friends at the premiere. Yeah. We get a chance to sort of watch Miley be Miley in the context of Hannah in the special, which is very, very special. And so like I'm not like upset or bitter about any of it. I think just at the end of the day, like so grateful that she even presented us with the opportunity of being able to celebrate this in this way. And honestly, like getting a sense that the special was going to be what it was a big driving force, I think, in us wanting to do this podcast.
Agreed.
Because I think, for me, I wanted an opportunity to celebrate with the fans a little bit more directly. And this is a format where we actually get to do it for a longer period of time. We get to go over 101 episodes and the movie and like the special and revisit with our friends. I think that's like a big aspect of this that I'm so excited about, is bringing on guest stars and crew members and partially to preserve our own memories, but also it's I think this is our love letter to the fans. This is our celebration of the 20 years and the relationship that we had with everybody. I think the Hannah special and our podcast together is like just a really nice way to like celebrate this very, very cool thing that we all did together.
Agree.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were going to say that, and I'm a little teary-eyed.
I think that's you probably need time to take your medication, Doug.
He's not wrong.
Your alarm's about ready to go.
But I think that sums it up. If anybody wants to clip this out of context and say we said mean things,
they would be lying.
Yeah, they'd be lying.
I am a rich Hollywood Jew. I have lawyers.
No, but this was a really great experience, and I'm glad that we got a chance to sort of talk about this. And,
I agree.
So that's about it for our special episode. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you would love to watch the pod, please check us out on Best of Both Our Worlds YouTube channel. Please hit all the buttons. Help us with the algorithm. We love doing the show. We want to do as many of these as you will watch. Follow the show on Instagram at Best of Both Our Worlds Podcast, on TikTok at Best of Both Our Worlds, and on X at Babao Podcast. This has been Best of Both Our Worlds, created and hosted by Jason Earles, Douglas Danger Lieblein, and Shannon Flynn. Executive producer Renee Colvert. Produced and edited by Jeffrey Murphy, recorded at Quest Pacifica, original music by my friend Joe Serafini, and social media strategy by my friend Shelby Stahl and Beloved Social. And with that, let's all do it together, you guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Good day, Daddy. I said good day.
It's the best